Run.
Hi everybody and welcome to On the Run. Here we are in the O Media office. O Media of course being the parent company of Inside Asian Gaming. And I've been on the run, on the road for many months now, backwards and forwards, a little bit in Macau, but mostly Philippines, Australia, you name it, all over the APAC region. But now I'm back in Macau, back in home base here, and will be for a few weeks. So it's great to connect with the team, it's great to catch up with old friends, and it's great to meet, of course, all the integrated resort bosses and C-level guys and everybody really here in Macau. And of course, last week was the first on the run for 8 weeks. We were so busy, but we were lucky to catch up in those 8 weeks. It was Ben Blaschke, of course, managing editor of Inside Asian Gaming, and myself, and we did a lightning round of 50 stories that caught us up. So this week, we're just going to do the usual thing, top 10. Let's go through this week's top 10 and talk about the big stories of the week and get you up to date if maybe you haven't read every single story in Inside Asian Gaming. Naughty, naughty you. If you haven't, you should, but we understand sometimes you get busy and it's great to have a wrap up at the end of the week. So let's start at number 10. Patrick Dumont came out and said that Las Vegas Sands is here for the long term for Texas, for a Texas IR. This was a Bloomberg report. Now, of course, gambling is not legal, casino gambling is not legal in Texas, so it's a kind of a bit of a long shot, but Dr. Miriam Adelson, she sold 10% of her stock in Las Vegas Sands, netted $2 billion US for the 10%, quite extraordinary amount of money. Of course, she is the widow of Sheldon Adelson, and she took that money and what did she do? She bought a controlling interest in the Dallas Mavericks. Of course, very closely associated with Mark Cuban of Shark Tank fame. And the Adelsons and Mark Cuban are kind of close. They've been working together and knowing each other for some time. So it's pretty clear what the plan is. The plan is to get an involvement with the Dallas Mavericks and get an involvement with Texas and try to get the law changed so that an integrated resort could be built there. And of course, they're going to spend a lot of money on creating a new stadium for the Mavericks. It's pretty obvious what the plan is, at least in broad terms. So anyway, Dumont has come out and said they're there for the long term, and why wouldn't they be? He said, we really want to be in the state of Texas. Apparently, according to Bloomberg, they've spent $16.5 million US on lobbyists and on political campaigns since 2022. It's only 2 years, really. And Dumont was also quoted as to saying, the question is, what is the right way to do it in Texas? So how is the right way to do it in Texas? Which is an interesting thing to say. He didn't say, should there be gaming in Texas? He said, how should there be gaming in Texas? So he's planting the seed that gaming will come to Texas. So watch this space. I know it's a US story, but it's kind of an Asia story too, because we have Sands here, don't we? All right, on to number 9. So CBRE came out and said, look, the funding of Wynn at the UAE, the Wynn property that's being built at the moment at Ras Al Khaimah on Al Marjan Island, they said the funding of it is a non-issue. They'll have the money. Let's do a few sums here. So they said it, Craig Billings came out in May last month and said that the investment would be US $900 million. Of a $4 billion, they upped the property from $3.9 billion to $4 billion, and that $900 million of that would be coming from Wynn on a 50-50 debt to equity deal. Wynn, of course, being the 40% partner and the local partner being the 60% partner. But if you do the sums, let's do it. US $4 billion, 40% of that is $1.6 billion, 50-50 debt to equity. So they would have to come up with $800 million, but they're saying it'll be $900 million. So, that's interesting. Maybe there is a little bit of slack in there. Maybe it's the other way around. Maybe it's going to be a $4.5 billion property in the end. Let's see. But the point is that CBRC, the main thing is CBRE, I should say, said that their estimated free cash flow for Wynn in 2026 was $1.4 billion. So they could fund it just from their 2026 cash flow if they really, really wanted to. All right, number 8. So MGM China reportedly interested in Thailand. Thailand's going to be the new Japan. Everybody's interested in Thailand. So it's going to be like what Japan was like in 2018, 2019, 2020. Everyone wants a piece of Thailand. But the Bangkok Post reported this week comments from the Tourism Authority of Thailand governor. And he met with Pansy Ho. Pansy Ho apparently was in Thailand because the MGTO was doing a roadshow there. And apparently Pansy made comments about, oh, MGM China would love to be in Thailand. But isn't MGM Resorts meant to be going to Thailand? Isn't Bill Hornbuckle saying he wants to be in Thailand? So how does that work? Is it going to be MGM China leading the charge or MGM Resorts leading the charge, or are they going to compete with each other? That doesn't make sense. So who knows? Let's see. Maybe it's a bit of a miscommunication. No one really knows. And of course, also Galaxy is opening an office there, and I happen to know that some of the other big players are there in Thailand as well. On to number 7, poker Ponzi guy to pay 4.8 million Australian dollars to 11 victims. So this is all about a guy named Marley Winter, bit of a interesting but unfortunate and sad story. This guy, Marley Winter, apparently created a Ponzi scheme that targeted poker players in Australia. He was a somewhat known player in Australia. He won the 20k high roller in 2022, the WPT Australia event, World Poker Tour event. So that gave him a bit of a profile. Probably already had a little bit of a profile, but he's gone missing now. They can't find him. He's on the run, and the money apparently is gone. So this is very sad because some of these players have put their life savings or large amounts of money in with him, and he's been ordered to pay this 4.8 million Australian dollars. Probably it's even more than that. So, that's an unfortunate story, and we don't want people like that in our industry that do that sort of thing. Apparently he made lots of promises. He also made lots of threats against people who wanted to withdraw their money from this investment scheme that he had. So anyway, that's a cautionary tale for us all. Number 6, a 50,000 person capacity concert venue to be built in Macau next to Grand Lisboa Palace. This has been a bit of an ongoing story in Macau. The Cultural Affairs Bureau of Macau confirmed it this week. They said the venue will cover 94,000 square metres of land. Initially, the chief executive came out on Monday and said it would be an 80,000 person venue, but the Cultural Affairs Bureau clarified that and said, no, it's going to be 50,000, which is still an enormous stadium. It will be an international standard venue. Now, there's a bit of a backstory to this. As you know, a lot more concerts happening now in Macau. And we had an example in January this year. We had a K-pop boy band called 17 came to Macau, and they actually played in Taipei. I believe it was at the stadium. Must have been at the stadium, or was it at the stadium or another venue in Taipei? I can't exactly remember. But anyway, the point was it created a lot of disruption with all the fans going there and leaving there. There was a lot of noise. There was a lot of disruption. A lot of residents in Taipei complained. And given the growth of the concert economy here in Macau, it was actually a cover story on IAG a few months ago, and this is a new imperative, lots and lots of concerts and entertainment coming to Macau. We really need here in Macau a big international standard stadium. So this is going to be what is happening. So and they're going to build it very quickly. Apparently it's going to be ready for next year. So it's just land at the moment. They don't believe they've broken ground. So that's going to be fantastic for Macau. Now, number 5, MGM Cotai eyeing a wellness-themed expansion. So Bloomberg again came out with this one this week, and they said that that they have sources that are saying that MGM Cotai is going to expand. They're going to create this sort of big health facility that's going to focus on traditional Chinese medicine, medical tourism, lots of medical sort of facilities. And this is part of the 1+4 push by the Macau government. What's 1+4? I hear you say, people outside of Macau. 1 is tourism and 4 is, well, health is one of them. High tech, modern finance, and the fourth one is MICE, culture, sport. This is part of the Macau government's plan to diversify the economy into these other areas so we're not so reliant on gaming. Actually, this is a pretty smart one because if you think about it, people doing medical tourism, they're likely to be people that might be interested, might be premium mass players. They're going to be people a little bit wealthier, a little bit more upmarket kind of people, so it kind of matches. There's talk of new hotel rooms, which MGM desperately needs given the extra action that it's got with the 200 extra tables it's got and the smart table technology that they're using. MGM doing very, very well this year, so they definitely need more hotel rooms, and this will be, more hotel rooms will be part of this development with this big health development. A cautionary note though, remember the Marlowe Clinic at Venetian many, many years ago, that did not work. But this is many, many years later, so maybe the Marlowe Clinic was ahead of its time and maybe this one will work. Time will tell. Number 4, the Chinese embassy in the Philippines came out and made a statement. A spokesman, didn't really give a name, made a statement calling for the POGO industry to be shut down. Well, this is nothing new. They've been calling for that for years. Look, China just doesn't like the POGO industry, and the Philippines is saying, no, we want a POGO industry. It makes too much money for us, and you guys just have to kind of accept it. And China are doing everything they can to shut down the Philippines POGO industry. In an interesting, somewhat related story, there was a raid on a POGO in Pampanga last week, and there were PLA, People's Liberation Army uniforms and Chinese People's Armed Police Force uniforms found there. Now there's some talk that these were fakes, that these were fake uniforms that maybe Chinese were using to intimidate other Chinese. Maybe they were real uniforms, we don't know. But look, there is angst between the Chinese and the Philippines around the POGO industry. They came out in their statement and said there is, quote unquote, ample evidence showing that POGOs breed serious crime, including kidnapping, human trafficking, and murder. But PADCOR comes out and says they're having none of it. They're saying, well, it's not POGOs that create that. Proper POGOs, which by the way are no longer POGOs, they're IGLs, Internet Gaming Licensees, have been renamed. They do not create all that. It is organised crime syndicates that are breaking the law that create those kind of issues. So there's a war of words between the two sides here. And PADCOR comes out and says, if you ban it, you're just going to drive it underground. And guess what? PADCOR's dead right there. Absolutely 100% right. You are going to drive it underground if you ban it. Okay, let's move on to number 3. Big story last week. This is a follow-up to it. Newport World Resorts last week saw the demise, I guess you have to say, of the CEO, the COO and the CFO all on the same day. Happened on the 1st of June. We reported it on the morning of the 3rd of June, the Monday. Happened on a Saturday. We actually knew about it on the Sunday, but we reported on the Monday. So that was Mr. Hawke and Doug Tass as the COO, Mr. Kingston Sian, the CEO, and Mr. Bernard Tan, the CFO, all gone on that day. Well, the CEO was replaced with Nilo Rodriguez, who was formerly the Chief Strategy Officer. The COO was replaced with Lance Gautreaux, who, by the way, IAG has interviewed, I think, in our January issue of IAG. He was formerly the Chief Casino Officer, so became the COO, but the CFO was not immediately replaced. Well, the CFO has been replaced now. It is Mr. Laurence Hawke, formerly Group CFO of Hoiana. Also before that with in Adelaide for a long time, and actually a former business partner of Kiran Carruthers, a great friend of IAG's. So they've now got that trio replaced, and Kevin Tan, of course, is the chairman, and his chairman of, or CEO, I should say, of AGI, the parent company in a way. It's Travellers that operates Newport, and then Travellers is a subsidiary of AGI Alliance Global, one of the biggest conglomerates in the Philippines. And Kevin is, of course, son of Andrew Tan, one of the richest men in the Philippines, and obviously the heir to that fortune. So good luck to Newport with their new crew, their new team, and we'll be reporting on them from now on in. All right, number 2, LET Group. This is the former Sun City listed entity that changed its name to LET. They are to lend $17 million US dollars to SunTrust. So this is the company that is developing the West Side property at Entertainment City, the 5th IR in Entertainment City after Solaire, Okada, City of Dreams and Newport. They lent them $38 million in April. Here's another $17 million in June. They're sort of drip feeding this money to them because it's actually a $1.1 billion US dollar project. So it seems to be drip, drip, drip on the money. The project has 475 hotel rooms, 281 casino gambling tables, 1,126 slot machines, 134 electronic table games, a pool deck, a spa, a wellness centre, a ballroom, some MICE facilities, multiple theatres, and a grand opera house, and a partridge in a pear tree. A food mall and 4 cinemas, I forgot about that. But why are they drip feeding the money? Seems to be a bit of a shortage of money going on there. Not quite sure. So if there's any information from the LET people or the SunTrust people, we'd love to know. Number 1, the big story of this week, and the big story by far, we had 12,000 views on this within a day or two. The claimed complete collapse of Wynn Group in the Philippines. They're a junket operator. Looks like it could be a bit of a Sun City style collapse. A little different though, no legal stuff yet, but there's been a run on the money. Clearly there's been a run on the money. So we did a breaking news on Wednesday at 12 noon that there were no funds available in the Wynn rooms at Solaire and Okada. The operators were not sure what's going on. At 4 p.m. that day, just 4 hours after our breaking news went out, Wynn issued a statement saying that they will be reopening at 2 p.m. on Monday. Now, you'll be watching this on Friday, I presume, Friday the 21st of June. So the weekend is 22, 23. So they're saying that on Monday, the 24th of June at 2 p.m, they were going to reopen their rooms. Well, let's see. Keep an eye on IAG, of course, asgam.com. All the news will be there. A letter has been sent out by Wynn to operators and others blaming unjust external attacks and slander for the closure, but light on details. No details about who is slandering, where they're slandering. The operators are in the dark here, so it doesn't look good for Wynn. Let's see what happens. We will report the news, of course. Well, there you go. There's the top 10 for this week. Have a great weekend. Keep reading IAG. Keep visiting asgam.com. Get your friends to subscribe, share, and all that good stuff. I'm still going to be in Macau for another couple of weeks or so. So if you want to catch up, please reach out to me. Here at home base for a couple of weeks, which is great. And after that, I'll hit the road again for a big long trip. See you next week from Macau, and have a great weekend. Bye for now. See ya.
Run.